Hello?
Reach, we've got more work for you.
Oh, that's my favorite liaison doing.
We got a new order of airsoft guns from the sweatshop.
What?
We're sending them over now.
Can't you send me something better? I'm tired of reviewing tactic crap.
You and I both know your eager following only wants to see you flail around and review cheap imported plastic for a few minutes before they move on to something else. So are you gonna take this contract or what? Hello?
Can't review high-end airsoft equipment, huh? I'll show them. I'll review the greatest airsoft replica ever made. If my name isn't Callsign. It's true. I don't usually review high-end airsoft replicas. Partly because my employer doesn't supply me with the budget, because they're a bunch of penny-pinching cheapskates, and because not everyone can afford top-shelf hardware. I like to keep my content vague and appealing to a wide audience of soft-minded youths. But because of the kindness and generosity of a certain executive named TGray Airsoft, I've got access to one of the finest airsoft replicas on the market. This is the Wolverine Airsoft MTW. Is it worth the price tag? Does it outperform other popular airsoft replicas? Was this just an excuse to put the price tag of an expensive gun in the video title to increase viewer traffic and SEO? Let's find out.
The Modular Training Weapon is an airsoft replica designed and manufactured by Wolverine Airsoft. Created specifically to house an Inferno GEN II HPA engine, it aims to avoid alignment issues and compatibility problems which can be encountered with similar drop-in models. Instead of converting an AEG to HPA and spending hours fine-tuning internals, you can pull the MTW out of the box and get straight to destroying your enemies. In my hours of grueling research, I learned that the MTW has varying degrees of compatibility with aftermarket parts. The buffer tube, castle nut, sling plate, trigger guard, and takedown pins are all compatible with real steel parts. That's right, and I can prove it. TGray has a real Magpul stock attached. Now, I'm not quite sure how they did this, but the MTW can supposedly accept both airsoft and real steel handguards. It can accept real steel grips with some modification. Here you can see that TGray also has a Magpul MOE grip attached. Internally, the inner barrel and hop-up assembly are compatible with aftermarket AEG parts. The MTW's hop-up is a proprietary system, but it can be swapped out for a different version if you so desire. In addition to having proprietary magazines that we'll touch more on later, the MTW also accepts regular M4 AEG magazines, with the caveat that the automatic shutoff function, which triggers when the magazine is empty, will not work. So, if you're like me and you have approximately 1,600 Elite Force midcaps lying around, you're still in business.
It's so stupid. I didn't know you couldn't use Elite Force mags in this. Those are apparently, don't use Elite Force magazines because they don't fit.
Never mind. Of course, modern engineering can only take us so far. There are some parts that are exclusive to the MTW. The selector switch, trigger, charging handle, and bolt catch are all proprietary. Despite that, Wolverine Airsoft has a variety of upgrades for the MTW that you can add to match your specific playstyle. This thing is made to be customized. The MTW comes pre-installed with Wolverine Airsoft's own GEN II Inferno engine, which is visible from the ejection port. Teardown is straightforward. Remove the body pins and split the upper and lower receiver, allowing for easy access to the electronics and other internal mechanisms. TGray has equipped his MTW with a Wraith stock, which changes the power system from using a grip airline and air tank to 12-gram CO2 bulbs, which are put directly into the stock. TGray has extensively customized the look of his MTW. The worn-down tan paint scheme complements the design of the receiver and makes the Magwell logos pop. It looks like it's seen some pretty serious game time. The player wielding this is clearly not a player to scoff at. A QD suppressor equipped with an Acetec AT2000 tracer unit can be attached for a more covert appearance. A vertical foregrip and rail covers have been added to aid in target acquisition. Fixed irons and a beefy red dot sight are the cherry on top of a particularly operator build. TGray has tricked this out to fit a mid-range assaulter playstyle, more targeted towards outdoor games and milsim. Considering how distinct this is from an out-of-the-box MTW, I think TGray's platform is a perfect example of what Wolverine Airsoft means when they call it modular. The battery goes in the grip, and the CO2 goes in the stock. It doesn't get more simple than that, except...
Dang it, I knew that was gonna happen. Oh, maybe it might have worked. Nope.
The Wraith stock takes a little getting used to. You insert the CO2 into the stock, put on the cap, and twist it into place as you press down. But if you're not firm enough, the cartridge is going to gas out, and you'll need to put in a fresh one. This could be a concern on the field, as these CO2 bulbs are only good for around 200 shots, and I don't know about you, but I burn through 200 shots when I'm running a mid-range AEG. It's relatively painless when you get the hang of it, but swapping out cartridges is something you're going to be doing a lot of.
Nice. Got it.
What can I say? This thing just works, and it's on the money. I'd suggest using heavier ammo because this thing can handle it. With the combination of the hop up, the air seal, and some 3.6s, you'll be ruining kill streaks all afternoon. Semi-auto is responsive with a light trigger pull, and full auto, it is brutal.
That's ridiculous. Alright, so the MTW is very clearly a performance-driven airsoft replica. The question is not whether it can perform or not, the question is how well does it perform at this top level. So we're going to put it up against a torso-sized target, or that's really a player-sized target here. This is a medium engagement distance. This is something that you would definitely come across in the field. We're going to see what kind of grouping we can get with this to determine the relative accuracy of this piece. Okay, so I think my first shot landed right there. So that was me trying to kind of gauge where I was hitting. I held my sights around this area. This is where predominantly this is where most of my shots hit, and then I had some to the left and right, but that's like, so if I hold this up to me, that is all in the chest area. So you know, what I'm kind of trying to show here is, if we are reviewing this as a stock MTW, that's pretty solid. You know, if you can think of yourself in a regular airsoft engagement, you know, where you're shooting at a guy who's maybe behind cover, or you have just kind of a brief glimpse of your target's like exposed back or front, you're probably gonna be able to hit that target. Torso-sized target, no problem. Let's try a delicious can of LaCroix. Ooh! I got it. Tink. I will say, that took, you know, around 15-20 shots. But gosh dang it, if I was not close every single time on that. This is some, like, stupid level accuracy, man. I don't know what the heck they put in these things, but it's not of this world. Gross.
The gun shot a hole in something?
And it exploded?
What?
Real steel compatibility is sweet. That opens up literally thousands of options for customizing how your MTW looks. It performs extremely well, and that full auto is worth the price of admission. Does it perform? In my opinion, yes. Guns shoot good. Great, we got it. The MTW has been marketed as a game-changing platform. To paraphrase the technical overview put out by Wolverine Airsoft, if you're going to get an HPA M4, there is no reason not to get an MTW. The fact that it works so well out of the box backs up this claim. But I think there's something special about building your own HPA Airsoft replica. I built Betsy from the ground up, and it was a challenging process. Between finding parts that would work and actually installing them, it was a huge project that took months. But when I finally put her all together and nailed that first headshot, there was a genuine feeling of success inside my cold cybernetic shell. An MTW is a great option, but all I'm saying is, don't discount the value of building your own HPA gun. $615 for the base gun is a competitive price, but like all custom HPA builds, you're also going to need an air tank, a regulator, and a line, which will run you around $150 to $200. If you want the Wraith stock, that's going to run you $275. So, setting yourself up with an MTW build is pretty much the same cost as building an HPA system with a converted AEG, give or take some depending on your taste and upgrades. The performance is there, but you gotta have the coin, baby. In conclusion, it's innovative, it's expensive, it's one of the best performing replicas I've gotten my hands on. Is it worth it? Well, that's for you to decide. As always, I encourage you to look at review videos from other sources before pulling the trigger. I work for an evil mega corporation after all. Ulterior motive is my middle name. Thanks for watching. I'll be back. Corporate identification patches are available on Dash Patch. Fund our nefarious operations and know you're making a difference in the world. Stay corporate approved.